Welcome to After Dark Stories. Here we tell thrilling stories bound to make you come back for more. We upload new stories daily. Some are complete while others will be uploaded in episodes. But don't worry, all the multi-episode stories have their own playlist just for your convenience. If you like these stories, please give us a like and subscribe, as this will help us create better stories and videos. Now sit back, relax, and let's explore the unknown. Surviving Paradise. Chapter 1. The Dream of Escape. Clara and Mark had always dreamed of an escape from their hectic city lives. After months of planning, they found the perfect destination, a remote island in the South Pacific, far away from the digital noise and the gray buildings that crowded their existence. It was nothing short of paradise, a slice of heaven with white sandy beaches, palm trees swaying in the breeze, and a horizon that melted into hues of orange and pink at dusk. As they boarded the small plane that would take them to their vacation, Clara felt a mix of excitement and anticipation. She shot Mark a playful smile, her heart racing. "Are you ready for our adventure?" Mark grinned back, his enthusiasm infectious. "Ready as I'll ever be. Just imagine us, lying on the beach, sipping coconut water, and watching the world drift by." The flight to the island was short but filled with awe. As they flew over the cerulean water and the lush greenery below, Clara snapped photographs, filling her phone with memories before they even landed. The moment they stepped off the small aircraft, the warm tropical air embraced them, and a distant sound of waves crashing filled their ears. They were greeted by a local named Kimo, who offered to take them to their beachfront bungalow. The path through the island was dotted with vivid flowers and the occasional local smiling and waving. Clara and Mark basked in the tranquility, forgetting their worries with each step they took. Once they reached the bungalow, which was a charming wooden structure with a thatched roof, they dropped their bags and immediately rushed to the beach. They splashed in the water, laughing like children, letting the sun warm their skin. It was perfect. Chapter 2. Days of Bliss. The next few days were filled with sun-soaked joy. Clara and Mark explored the island, enjoying the local cuisine, which was a delightful mix of seafood and tropical fruits. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, they would sit on the beach, hand in hand, sharing their hopes and dreams. But soon, the idyllic beach life began to feel too quiet for Clara. She suggested they go hiking to explore the island's interior. Mark hesitated, but Clara's enthusiasm swayed him. So one sunny morning they packed a small backpack with water and snacks and set out. The hike was invigorating, leading them through dense woods filled with exotic birds and vibrantly colored flowers. They came across a river with clear, cool water. Clara squealed with delight as she jumped in, and Mark followed suit, splashing water at her playfully. "If only life could be like this forever," Clara said, her face glowing with happiness. Mark smiled, watching her. "We can make it last as long as we want. We just need to be here now." But in the pit of Mark's stomach, an unease began to brew, an unconscious feeling that something was off. He dismissed it, believing it to be nerves from the unfamiliar surroundings. Chapter 3. The Calm Before the Storm. 5 days into their vacation, Clara and Mark awoke to a strange stillness. The usual sound of waves was subdued, almost as if the island was holding its breath. Mark raised his head, frowning at the heavy clouds looming in the sky. "Looks like a storm could be coming," he said, peering out the window. Clara, ever the optimist, waved it off. "It's just a little storm. We're safe here. Plus, I'd love to see lightning over the ocean," she said, her excitement returning. But deep down, Mark felt a twist of worry. As the day progressed, the storm began to roll in, transforming from a gentle drizzle to an unforgiving downpour. The rain came down in sheets, crashing against the bungalow with a fury that gripped Clara and Mark in unease. They huddled inside, listening to the wind howl outside, feeling the weight of their isolation. Around nighttime, something shifted. The wind's howling morphed into an ear-splitting roar. Clara clutched Mark's arm as the whole building shook. "What is happening?" she shouted over the thunder. "Just a storm, Clara. Just a storm," Mark shouted back, though his heart raced in his chest. But then came the rumble, low and powerful. A terrifying realization crept into Mark's mind. They had to get to higher ground. An earthquake rumbled through the island, tossing the bungalow as if it were made of cardboard. Chapter 4. The Disaster Unleashed. When the earth finally settled, there was a heavy silence, punctuated only by the sound of twisted metal and splintering wood. Mark grabbed Clara's hand, and together they rushed out of the bungalow. The sky was a cacophony of angry clouds, swallowing the last light of day. What they saw was devastation. Their beloved bungalow had crumbled around them, splintered wood strewn across the beach. But worse yet, the waves had moved in, crashing violently against the shore, encroaching on their very existence. "Mark, we need to get to the trees," Clara screamed, panic flooding her voice as another wave surged closer. They sprinted towards the high ground, dodging falling debris and trying not to look back at the destruction. Once safe beneath a large, sturdy tree, they collapsed, breathing heavily, wrapped in each other's arms. "It's going to be okay," Clara whispered, though she could feel her heart pounding in fear. But as the hours dragged on and the winds howled through the night, Mark began to feel a creeping dread. What if they were stuck here? What if help didn't come? Chapter 5. Struggles of Survival. The storm raged for days, and by the time the sun broke through the clouds, Clara and Mark were left in a barren wasteland, their hearts heavy with despair. The once lush green of the island was stripped bare, and their belongings were gone, washed away by the merciless waves. Clara searched through the remains of their bungalow, retrieving a few items that had survived. Their phones had been destroyed, but Clara managed to find the small portable barbecue they'd brought along, though it was lacking most essentials. Mark managed to collect a few bottles of water that had escaped the deluge. But food was scarce. The fresh fruits they had picked had been stripped away, and there were no signs of life among the trees. Clara struggled to keep her spirits high, but as the days turned into weeks, the reality of their situation grew heavier. "We need to find food," Mark said one morning as they woke, the sun high in the sky, offering a false sense of warmth. Clara nodded, feeling the gnawing hunger in her belly. They set out to explore the island, scouring for any signs of food. They ventured into the jungle, where they found a few wild berries, but they were tiny and insufficient. Mark climbed trees, searching for coconuts, and they eventually discovered one, splitting it open with a rock. "Finally!" Clara cheered, but it was a fleeting triumph. They tried fishing, using improvised nets, but with every attempt they were met with failure. Mark felt his spirit wane as hunger gnawed at them and the weight of isolation settled over them like a dark cloud. Chapter 6. Hope Diminished. The days turned into weeks, and Clara's once bright demeanor began to dull. She became listless, her laughter replaced with despair. Mark watched helplessly as she dwindled before his eyes, unable to shake the desperation that enveloped them. The nights were particularly cruel. Darkness would seep in and silence would take over, broken only by the sounds of the wilderness. Clara often woke from fitful sleeps, calling out in confusion. The sounds of her nightmares echoed in the night air, sending chills down Mark's spine. "We can't give up," Mark would repeat, holding her tight even as his own resolve waned. They gathered what little energy they had to search for food, minerals, and fresh water, clinging to whatever semblance of normality they could find amidst the ruins of their tropical paradise. But after weeks without adequate food, both began to show the signs of malnourishment. They relied on small berries in the savaged coconut, their bodies becoming weaker by the day. "I can't keep doing this," Clara said one afternoon as they collapsed under a tree. "What if they never find us?" Mark's heart sank. "They will find us. We just need to hold on." But as Clara drifted into a restless sleep beside him, he found himself doubting his own words. Chapter 7. The Arrival of Rescue. On a particularly sweltering day, both of them lay under the shade of a large tree, the oppressive heat weighing down on them. Mark closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, exhaustion taking over after a long day of fruitless searching. Suddenly, sharp sounds pierced the air. In Jin's, Mark shot up, heart racing, scanning the sky. Above, a helicopter circled, the sound of its rotors cutting through the air. "Clara," he yelled, shaking her slightly, "wake up! They're coming!" Clara opened her eyes in confusion, squinting up at the sky. "What? What do you mean?" "There's a helicopter! They're looking for us!" Mark shouted, standing up. He jumped up and down, waving his arms frantically. But, frail and weak, Clara struggled to find the strength to follow his lead. I don't know if I can," she stammered. "Please, Clara, just a few more steps." He pulled her up, urging her to move towards the ocean, the clearing along the beach where they could wave to the helicopter. As they reached the beach, the helicopter hovered above with a slight thrum, the wind whipping around them as they tried to signal, weak and desperate. "Look!" Mark shouted, pointing as a rescue diver descended from the helicopter, climbing down the rope. Clara's eyes filled with tears of disbelief. "We're saved," she breathed, the words barely escaping her lips. The diver landed on the ground, quickly approaching them. "You're safe now," he said, a huge smile on his face. "You're going to be okay." Chapter 8. The Aftermath. When the trauma of their experience set in, Clara and Mark were transported back to civilization, wrapped in warm blankets and cared for by medical staff. They were examined for injuries, dehydration, and malnourishment. For the first few days after their ordeal, they barely spoke. Both were grappling with memories of the disaster, the realization that they had faced death. It was only during a quiet moment in a hospital room that Clara broke down, and Mark, sensing her pain, held her tightly. "I was so scared," Clara whispered, her voice shaking. "I thought we weren't going to make it." "I was scared too," Mark confessed, raking his fingers through his hair. "But we did. We survived." As they began to heal physically, the emotional scars still lingered. They spoke with therapists, worked on rebuilding their lives, but the shadows of that experience in paradise followed them home. A part of their connection grew stronger, forged in the fires of adversity. They discussed what they had learned from their time on the island, the importance of love, resilience, and survival. They had faced the unimaginable, but had come out alive, their hearts entwined in shared strength. Chapter 9. A New Beginning. Months passed, and the scars would always be part of their journey. They decided to take a trip back to the island. not to relive the disaster, but to find closure. When they arrived, Clara wept at the sight of the barren landscape. "We need to remember what we went through," Mark said softly, "but also we need to heal. This isn't just about the disaster, it's about the love that grew through it all." Together, they ventured to the spot where they had sought shelter, standing hand in hand under the shade of a now recovered tree. "I love you, Clara," Mark said, lifting her chin. "I love you too, Mark, and I'm so grateful we're together," she replied, a soft smile breaking through her tears. As the sun set over the horizon, painting the sky with colors of hope, Clara and Mark embraced, realizing that while the scars of their experience would never fully fade, their love had become stronger. They had survived paradise, and now they were ready to embrace the world with each other. Epilogue: The journey ahead. Returning home, Clara and Mark dedicated themselves to helping communities prepare for natural disasters, sharing their story to raise awareness. They found peace in their new purpose, helping others navigate through their fears with the strength that they had forged together. The journey of survival was never easy, but together they faced every challenge as a testament to the bond they had formed. They often reminisced about their idyllic vacation, knowing full well how it had transformed them in ways they never anticipated. It was no longer a story of just chaos. It was about resilience, hope, and love. A story that would continue to unfold page by page as they navigated through the beautiful, unpredictable journey known as life. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. This will really help the channel grow. Always stay safe, but most of all, stay curious. Until next time.